my experience or re-experience with Donkey Kong Land 3 for the Game Boy, and later Donkey Kong GB, Diddy Kong or Dixie Kong and Kitty Kong. So, let's talk about it since you know what? You know what? Alright, so I want to start by talking about this game in a way that didn't hit me before, right? So we're going to talk about it right after I share the link on Discord, and this will probably be my last stream for the day before I upload shorts and go off the internet. Anyways, I digress. I'm back, and here we are. We're going to share this. We're going to do this. So, what made me come back to Donkey Kong Land 3 for the Game Boy? So, I want to talk about back then before we talk about now, because the title is saying it all right now, right? So, when I was playing Donkey Kong Land for the first time in my life, I loved Donkey Kong Land 1 because of how different it was in comparison to Donkey Kong Country 1, 2, and 3, and how it's kind of like a little sub-series, right in between the Donkey Kong Country games, like Donkey Kong Country 1, then it'll go Donkey Kong Land 1, Donkey Kong Country 2, then it'll go Donkey Kong Land 2, and then it'll go Donkey Kong Country 3, then Land 3, right? That's how I see it, the series of games, because it was also releasing in between those games timeline wise. And I remember when I played Donkey Kong Land 1, I loved it. I remember when I played Donkey Kong Land 2, I loved it. But, I noticed even back then that Donkey Kong Land 2 was a little bit too similar to Donkey Kong Country 2. And it felt like more of like Donkey Kong Country 2 on Game Boy, just on the go. You could take it with you on the go. That's what it felt like. So, for many years, I decided, hey, and obviously I played Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie Kong's Conquest. I think it was Dixie's Conquest or something like that. It was something like that, right? And I just decided, after Donkey Kong Country 3 and after I played it, and I know I like it least, I like it a lot more now, but you get my point. I like it not so much, right? So I naturally assumed that, hey, with Donkey Country 3 being in terms of the original 3 games for Donkey Country, I don't think Donkey Kong Land 3 is going to be all that, right? And, for a long time, I did play Donkey Kong Land 3 because you guys know me, I love Donkey Kong. But, so, I played it for a little bit and then I got off of it because I kind of felt like it was just the same shit again. Like, they just kind of pulled Donkey Kong Land 2 bullshit, but for Donkey Kong Land 3. I was wrong. So, about 3 to 4 days ago now, I started, or even longer than that, like maybe a week or so ago, or maybe a month ago or whatever, I decided to play all of the Donkey Kong Country games. I decided to do full playthroughs of Donkey Kong Country 1, Donkey Kong Country 2, Donkey Kong Land 3, Donkey Kong Land 1, Donkey Kong Land 2, just to go through them all, just to go through all the Donkey Kong games. And I finally made it back to Donkey Kong Land 3, and I told you guys the truth there, and here now, right? That I didn't really play the entirety of Donkey Kong Land 3, I played it for a little bit, but then I saw that, it was actually different. Should I name my dog Schizo or Scarfy? Scarfy sounds cool. I don't know, Shadow, that's a good question, but I feel like it's ultimately up to you at the end of the day to name your dog. Though, Schizos does sound kind of cool. Those are both some cool and pretty unique names. Bro, that game's so long. Donkey Kong Land 3, it's not really that long. It's like an hour or two. That's not long. That's not long, bro. That's not long. Come on, that's not long. What's long is like GTA 5 or Persona, like story mode-wise. That's long. But anyways, I digress. Right? So, for my YouTube channel, I decided to finally get along. Matter of fact, what's your favorite Mario or Donkey Kong Country? My favorite Donkey Kong Country for a long time was probably 2. For a very long time, I think 2 was like my absolute favorite. I had Sticker Bush Symphony, Forest Interlude. It had a lot of it had a lot of great tracks and a lot of good levels overall. I love Donkey Kong Country 2 so much. But Donkey Kong Country, like, 1 is right there with it, too. It's, like, not really that far behind. Do you believe that Jesus is God in the flesh? I do. I believe in God. You know, I do. I definitely do. But I would say that, you know, God and Jesus, they are two separate people. But anyways, I digress. JK, my name is Jenna Tolls. I gotcha. Why the King K rule is not a little bit famous? I don't know. King K rule is King K rule is just King K rule, man. I don't know. I don't know. He just kind of ended up being that one Donkey Kong character that just didn't pop off in comparison to a lot of other characters. But anyways, I digress, right? Let's talk about the game. So, 3 to 4 days ago, this time around, I decided to give Donkey Kong Land 3 a revisit. Because I was like, you know what? I finished Donkey Kong Country 3. I got on, finished Donkey Kong Country 3, my playthrough for it for YouTube. And I was like, why not for YouTube as well? Sit down, buckle down, and play Donkey Kong Land 3. Give it the proper chance that it deserves. Play a full game. No half-assing it. Let's play the entire game, beginning, middle, and end. Wow, I was amazed. Not only the level names are actually different, okay, in comparison to the Super Nintendo version of the game. And sure, the level themings for Donkey Kong Country 3 are still present in Donkey Kong Land 3, but the levels, the level design, the story, all three of these things are completely different in comparison to Donkey Kong Country 3. Now, they have a similar, like, plot, but, like, the plot for Donkey Kong Land 3 is completely different. It's like, I think it was like Dixie and Kitty, like, were just chilling, and, you know, one day they wanted to go out on an adventure. I don't remember the story too much since they don't really explain it in the game. It is a Game Boy game after all, so it's only, like, in the manual. But it actually is completely different from how Donkey Kong Country 3 does its story and shit. And I really like that all the levels are redesigned, retextualized to be completely different. Sure, and the map is completely different as well. Like, the map design, I was like, there's no vehicles in this in comparison to Donkey Kong Country 3. Obviously, they can't fit that, so, like, the level design has to be, like, all around the place. You're just walking around in places. But it's just so cool as a novelty that this game, Donkey Kong Land 3, you know, was able to not only keep the feel of Donkey Kong Country 3 intact with its game, but it also feels completely different all at the same time. It feels like I'm playing a more unique experience than I was with Donkey Kong Land 2. And I couldn't believe that, because I remember my initial feelings on this game was Donkey Kong Land 1 was the best one. By the way, Tim Berners, Hyperpunk, welcome to stream. Right? Like, Donkey Kong Land 1's the best one. Donkey Kong Land 2 and 3 are the main ones. But, nah, man. I actually feel completely different. Like, the gameplay obviously is the same. Obviously, Kitty's the strong one, so he's able to body a lot of guys. Dixie can hover and fly through levels like she did in Donkey Kong Country 2, or Donkey Kong Land 2 in this case. Donkey Kong Land 3 just got a one boss, and that's like an octopus, but in DKC 3... he is not there. Yeah, there's like an octopus boss in that game, which was weird. Like, I don't know, I just felt like Donkey Kong Land 2 is better than DK Land 3. I don't know, man, because, like, let's be real, right? The reason why Donkey Kong Land 3, I say, is better than Donkey Kong Land 2 is because at least Donkey Kong Land 3 feels like a unique experience. You know, Donkey Kong Land 2, the reason why Donkey Kong Land 2, I have a problem with it, is not because the levels are bad, but it's because it feels, the story is like, there is literally no story. All the levels in Donkey Kong Land 2, in comparison to Donkey Kong Land 3, are completely the same, if not maybe some things are tweaked. So it feels like you're just playing Donkey Kong Country 2 on a Game Boy. Bro, DK Land 3 is better because the bosses is so many. Yeah, not only there's so many bosses in Donkey Kong Land 3, but Donkey Kong Land 3 takes its bosses from Donkey Kong Country 3 and changes them and also tweaks them to be different. Like, for example, that snowman boss, Bleak. He was a boss that would go in the foreground and the background all the time in Donkey Kong Country 3. But in Donkey Kong Land 3, he just shoots a bunch of snowballs out of his head in a 2D plane in the area that you're going at. And then, you would either jump on his head or you would get something to, like, kind of throw at his ass every so often. He would just get harder and harder, which I like that change. It's a little different than how he was in Donkey Kong Country 3. And, again, also the levels are all redesigned. The OST, on the other hand, I gotta say, I'm not sure if I prefer Donkey Kong Land 2's OST or Donkey Kong Country or Donkey Kong Land 1 OST over 3's, because it felt like when I was playing Donkey Kong Land 3, it felt like they only had like 3 tracks the whole game. It felt like, because like I remember when I was playing it on Nintendo Switch Online, because I played through NSO, the entire playthrough by the way through NSO, and I was like, yo, is it just me or does it feel like there's 3 tracks in Donkey Kong in Donkey Kong Land 3, like just only 3 that were like used. Maybe I'm tripping, maybe there is a difference, but I kind of felt like it was all the same 3 tracks over and over. That was probably like my one problem with this game. Have you ever played Poppy's Playtime? Because if you haven't, you should actually play the whole series. You think I should play Poppy's Playtime, the whole series? Maybe one day. Maybe one day I'll get into it. I just haven't gotten into it because I don't really enjoy like scary games or horror games as much as like platformers and stuff. I'm realizing what I like, and I'm like kind of sticking with that. Though it's not bad to branch out every once in a while and give something a try, like I did with Five Nights at Freddy's and stuff. But anyways, I digress, right? So it's like getting all of that combined. Like the music is great, even though it repeats, it feels like a lot. The levels being completely redesigned, and sure, there's obviously assets that are reused, but like the levels are completely different. They don't feel one-to-one with Donkey Kong Country 3. And maybe that's probably because I played Donkey Kong Country 3 forever ago in comparison to Donkey Kong Land, so I'm not remembering like the layouts of those 2 games. I'm not gonna lie, adventure games are more better than horror games because you're not just in one place, you're in multiple. Yeah, exactly. Like adventure/platform video games. That's why I feel like they're better than horror. Horror, it's like they kind of keep you simulating a little box, and they kind of get you, get your kicks by scaring you and all that other sort of shit. But I digress, right? And that's why I'm like, yo, I feel like Donkey Kong Land 3 is a much better game and a much better package than Donkey Kong Land 2 because it actually does something different. There's different layouts, completely different layouts. It doesn't make you think, oh, I'm just playing Donkey Kong Country 3 all over again. It actually makes you feel like you're playing something completely different, or a sequel to Donkey Kong Country 3, just with Kiddy and Dixie again. Honestly, I felt like they could have gone far and beyond with 3. They could have made it feel like it's a Donkey Kong Country fucking 4, you know what I mean? Well, not 4, but yeah, basically horror games are basically just haunted houses, but in a video game. Yeah, essentially, yeah. Shadow, you got a good point, essentially, yeah. For a lot of them. There are some games that allow you to go to different areas, but it's like all in a condensed area. But, anyways, I know I say I digress. I digress a lot in this stream because I am getting on topic, off topic. But yeah, it's like this game was solid as hell. And I remember when I finished it, I was like, wow, I love Donkey Kong Land 3 more than 2. That's surprising because how it is whenever I think of Donkey Kong Country, it's 2, 1, 3, right? All the time. But for Donkey Kong Land, it's like 1, 3, 2. And to me, that's impressive because usually whenever I have a stance on a game, it takes me a long time for me to really change that opinion, or it takes me a while before I decide to go like, hey, you know what? I think differently, you know? In fact, Luigi's mentioned one at the lore is disturbing. Yeah, the lore is disturbing. I wonder what started adventure games. I wonder what started adventure games too. Probably The Legend of Zelda. Probably be real like Zelda 1 maybe. But yeah, it's like, god damn. Like, after I beat the game, I was surprised. It took me like an hour 50. I was sitting there happy. I was jolly. I had a good time. I was like, yo, I love this. I love this. I loved Donkey Kong Land 3. It's a solid video game. Bosses may be annoying sometimes, or I don't understand them, but it's not bad. I really enjoyed my time with it. Though, you know, I would also love another adventure with Donkey and Diddy, a.k.a. Donkey Kong Country 4, a.k.a. Donkey Country Returns. But yeah, have you seen Sonic 3, bro? Because, bro, that movie's insane. Yes, I have, and I will be making a review about that, but I need to make a review on Sonic 2 first, which me and Chris really need to get up on that. We need to get up on that shit and all that other sort of stuff. But yeah, guys, that's my re-experience with Donkey Kong, like, Lane 3. I think it's a solid video game. Waluigi breaks through what's going on. Bro, I just, 2 months ago, I played DKCR, bro, it is super fire. Yeah, Donkey Kong Country Returns is fire. Sorry that I wasn't there in DK Country Returns stream. Don't worry about it. You can always watch it later, man. It's gonna be on YouTube for a long time. You know what I mean? It's gonna be on YouTube forever. As long as this channel's up anyway. So, you got plenty of time to watch it. I'm probably gonna change the thumbnail a little bit. Get a better thumbnail for that one and kind of, you know, get shit going. But anyways, guys, go play Donkey Kong Land 3. It's a great game. The best way I recommend you guys play it is through Nintendo Switch Online. Just pay a $20 subscription, get the Game Boy application, and just whip it up. I honestly recommend that for Donkey Kong Land 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to be honest, go play all of them through Nintendo Switch Online. It's the best way to play it. Because you got, like, rewind feature. If you die and you feel like it's bullshit, you can just rewind it. You can go ahead. You were actually the first person on YouTube that has ever been more obsessed with Donkey Kong Country and Donkey Kong Land. It is not offensive. I'm just saying. You were I was the first person you ever saw that actually was, like, pretty obsessed with Donkey Kong. Well, believe it or not, there's a lot of people obsessed with Donkey Kong, and I'm starting to see, like, this type of Donkey Kong renaissance on fucking YouTube, which is a good thing. Look up Justendo. You gotta see all of his Donkey Kong Country videos, you know? Shit, he has a lot of them. In fact, bro, the Lore in Luigi's Mansion 1 is disturbing. Yeah, it is disturbing with Mr. Lugs, like the implication with him, or Bogmere, or all the other characters in that game. It's getting disturbing. But yeah, guys, that's my experience. That's my re-experience, Donkey Kong Land 3. Go play them. I recommend it. Or if you want to emulate the games, you can as well. But I highly recommend you play it through official Nintendo means. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe, favorite, share the video with your friends. God bless you all. Hope you guys all have a great day. And I'm going to go bother the fuck out of Rene YT. Possibly. Let's go see what he's up to, you know? And also, hey, check out Rene YT. He's been going live. He's been popping off trying to live stream. So check him out, you know? Shoot. You know what? I'm glad I subscribed to you. I'm glad you subscribed to me too, Shadow, because we're getting one step closer to freaking 4K, and I want to reach 4K so bad. You know, we've been at 3K for a long-ass time. I think it's about that time we hit 4K. But anyways, again, God bless you all. Thank you for watching. And I can't wait to make another Donkey Kong video like this. Maybe I should make one for... Oh, yeah, wait. I already did one for both Jungle Climber games. Really, the only ones I haven't done yet is Jungle Beat. Oh, not Jungle Beat. The Donkey Konga games? Fuck, I need to play the Donkey Konga games somehow, some way. Anyways, I'm gone. I can't wait for another Donkey Kong Country Returns. Hell yeah, bro. Just Donkey Kong Country Returns HD. We're about to play the fuck out of that again. But I am going to take a break because I literally just realized I have 5 episodes of that. And, that's a lot of watching people got to do. So, I'm going to give it a week until I come back because we're already on World 7, almost time and I kind of want to give Louis more time before he's like, oh, I got to come back to this. You know what I mean? Before I go back and do it again. Anyways, later, y'all. Let's go bother Rene.